So you have hesitant shifting in your rear derailleur, and you've already tried my cable lube trick from that video there, and it's still not right. Well, it could be a couple things. Probably the tension on your cable is off. So here's what you could do. First thing to check before you get too carried away is your derailleur hanger. If it's bent, your tension or your limit screws are not going to help you. You'll never get it right. But if this is where it's supposed to be, if you look up there and all the way down, and the gap looks about the same distance, this should work good. Especially with the 7-speed, 9-speed stuff. It doesn't have to be as exact as 10 and above, but if your hanger's in the right spot, you may proceed. This is your barrel adjuster, and there's a spring behind it, and it adjusts the tension pulling on this cable here. And so if you tighten it, if you go to the right, that actually loosens this because it brings the cable housing closer to the mechanism. If you back it up, that will add tension to the system. You need to know that. So righty-tighty actually loosens the tension. Lefty-loosey actually adds tension to the system. What I do to make sure that I have wiggle room to go in either direction, where I can, like right now it's all the way in, so it can only add tension, is I'll back it out a couple quarter turns, maybe 2 full turns. Then I'll undo this, loosen this, make the cable free, pull it with as much tension as possible. You can usually tell up here if you've got the tension. Then I tighten it. So then I have a way to actually relieve pressure on the system. And then from there, I'll see if I got enough to go up and down the cassette. So this bike was already tuned up before I made this video, so I'm gonna try to mess it up and then show you what I've done. So I've already kind of done the thing where I pull it through taut. So we'll shift through it. See, it's kind of hesitant there. So I can just add a little bit of tension, not much, just a quarter turn, see if it jumps. If it's still doing that, where it's not quite jumping on, click back down a gear, try it again, see if it gets any better. Add a little bit. Add a little bit more. There you go. And you want to make sure you can come back down too. If you add too much tension and you climb up the cassette really well, but you can't get back down, then you have too much. So you want to be able to go both ways. There's a little bit of hesitancy there. A little bit more. And you're only doing little turns each time you add tension. If you don't want to go too much there. That feels good. Kind of just add like a smidge, not even a quarter turn. And there you have it. Now this bike doesn't have a barrel adjuster at the shifter. It only has it down here. Other component groups, which this is also a Shimano, like the one we were working on, it does have it there and at the rear as well. So you have a lot more adjustability there when you need tension. My main mountain bike, it only has it at the shifter. So it doesn't matter. It can have both. It could just have one. But with two of them, you have a little bit more fine tunability. I like it up here personally because I can actually be on a ride, and if it's being kind of funny, I can turn this while I'm riding and add a turn or two at a time to crisp up the shifting. So front derailleurs are way more intimidating because there's a little bit more fine tuning that you got to do. You have your limit screws, which tell this thing how far out and in it needs to go. And then when it's in the middle gear, it's actually only held in place by however much tension is on the cable. And so if you're in your lowest gear in the back and it's rubbing on the inside of the derailleur, then you need to take that in. You need to tighten it righty to loosen it, and then it'll stop rubbing there. The inverse of that is you get into your highest gear there and you rub on it, then you need more tension up there. And the problem that you may run into is that this is not set in the right spot. So you can loosen the clamp. It might be too high or too low as well. And then you kind of have to adjust it in 2 dimensions. And that's where it gets confusing. But the 3x system works great because this bike's going to be able to ride on the road and do a lot of hill climbing as well. The problem is the bikes equipped with the 3x system usually don't have adequate suspension and or rim braked. 3x's are going to be on your more cheaper bikes, but they're going to be more versatile for road stuff, which bikes like this can turn into that kind of everything bike better than a hybrid. It just takes a little bit more fandangling, understanding how this works and how that works. And so hopefully this has helped demystify the art of adjusting derailleurs.